Woo! I made it. Hold on, I gotta close my door. Okay, I gotta close. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's Christmas week. Merry Christmas. Coming to you live. Got some important news I want to share with you. Good, the bad, and the ugly. But Merry Christmas. Next time you see me, I may be a grandfather, maybe not. The week after that, hey, Bill, how are you, man? Week after that, I'll most likely definitely be a grandfather, but maybe not. We'll see. My grandson, Stanley, they won't share with me the name because they don't want me to have opinions about the name. Like I'm not going to have opinions about the name. So they refuse to tell me what the name is. And so therefore I shall call the child Stanley, and it's going to stick. Okay, so let me just run through a couple of things that we're going to be talking about today. I just want to kind of give you an update on some of the stuff that's going on in the world of multifamily, because I think it's important that everybody understands what's happening and why it's happening and why it's not a bad thing, but it's happening, and it's happening that people didn't seem to want to watch history, and would think that history would never repeat itself. Of course it does. That's what it's, that's the best, that's the best track to run on, is to look to see in the past what's happened. Warned you this was coming. The people that got into it, that are really feeling it now, are just, they just took their money and ran, and now they're paying for it. And that's not how you build a business. Let's see here. I got to talk to you about, first thing, I don't know if you read in the paper that New York City has passed a law, the Fair Chance for Housing Act. It was introduced back in 2020, and it's going to go into effect in 2025. And it essentially enables the property owners to continue performing appropriate criminal background checks while increasing housing opportunities for justice-involved individuals. That's the new term for felons. Justice involved. Hey, do you have a background, a criminal background? Yeah, thanks, Rick. You have a criminal background? I've been justice involved. I actually was justice involved once in my day. Let me see. Who are deemed to pose no threat to others. Now, I don't know how you folks do it, but on my properties, we do criminal and credit background checks. It's part of the application process. And that's why they take the photo, the picture ID of the person that's applying, so we can always go back and confirm that application is truly who they say it is. Because with a credit check, the Social Security number, unless somebody stole the Social Security number, it doesn't really lie. You're getting the true accurate information. But on a criminal background check, you're dealing with all these different municipalities and towns, and how they record the person's when they get brought into the system. It could be different. I one time had a guy that popped up on a sex offender registry. I was like, hey, why are we? You just gave him a unit. How can that possibly happen? And he said, well, it's not him. So what do you mean it's not him? And it's like, one was a 6'5" black guy whose last name was Miller, and the other one was a 5'4" white guy named Miller, and he was a sex offender. And the other guy was applying for the loan. And I said, oh, okay, I got you. So that's why we do the old secure, that take a picture of the ID mostly for the criminal background side. Just to tell you another story, just as an aside, I'm on the board at the National YMCA, and we have an organization, outside organization, that uses the Y, called Stepping Stones. And these are people who are really on the fringe. They, sometimes they just come in to use our showers and, that type of thing. So it's a good organization, but the question is, well, who are these people coming into our Y? And we need a way to protect ourselves. And the issue came up the other day, and it triggered a memory of mine of a property that I owned, where we were. It was a big property. It was over 300 units, and we would use give out Section 8 vouchers, or we would accept Section 8, but Section 8 would sometimes give blocks of permits, Section 8 vouchers, to a charitable organization to give to their people, like the veterans. Well, in one particular case, it was the Catholic Charities. And in this particular town that I own property in, the woman who ran the Catholic Charities was just loved by all. And she sat at the right hand, and she just, could do no wrong. And, she could pick up the phone and have the mayor on the phone the next moment, and all this baloney. So we said, oh yeah, we'll give you 20 units. You get the 20 vouchers. You bring your people in, but they have to meet our criteria. They have to satisfy our criminal credit background. Oh yes, not a problem. Not a problem. We will do more than what you imagine. We started getting complaints about the people that were in there. And one of the complaints that we got was that one of the people had lived in the street so long, he didn't know how to use a toilet. So he used to go out in the front of the building and squat in the bushes and take care of himself. And finally we said, hey, what are you doing? What's going on there? She goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, you know what? When we realized that this woman's trying to pull a fast one on us, we got them out of there. No time flat. And the reason why I bring that up is because I said the same thing could be happening to us here at the YMCA. We've got to protect ourselves and make sure that that these people are not just bringing in anyone. But that's why you do criminal background checks. But what they're saying here in New York is that the housing discrimination. You got to love these terms: justice. What do we say called? Justice involved in housing discrimination. First off, with you try to use that term, and you think the Fair Housing Act prevents us from discriminating against anybody for housing, but it's the Fair Housing Act only allows us to discriminate for certain protected classes. All those things, like race, color, creed, national origin, all that type of stuff. Those are reasons that we can discriminate, or we can't discriminate. But if it's not in any of those protected classes, we can discriminate. And one of the categories that we've always used was criminal credit and criminal background checks. Well, credit, we've solved the issue with credit. Criminal background checks is different. When the person becomes a felon, he's not even allowed to vote anymore. So you're discriminating against them. Why can't we obviously it's a reason for you, Mr. Government. Why can't we do the same? So in the past, that's always been a criteria that we can use to keep our streets safe and nice housing. But now they're saying, hey, you can't do that anymore because that causes a big problem. Studies have found that lack of access to housing and other basic needs increases recidivism, a cycle that disproportionately affects people of color. So you know what? How do I feel about that? I said, listen, I think one of the things that they were using was they want to have somebody, a 5-year waiting period or a 3-year. I think they settled for a 3-year waiting period. But, obviously we say if it's not a violent crime, we'll look differently upon that. But yeah, you know what? The person, obviously they registered as a sex offender if that was their crime. But if the guy stole cars, hey, kids do stupid things. You can't make a living on stealing cars. So, eventually the guy's going to grow up and realize he made a mistake, and he can't live someplace now because of it. I'm okay. When I went to law school, I went in black and white and I came out gray. I'm okay. You can give it a try. There are other reasons for getting the guy evicted if he's going to be a problem tenant. What do you guys think? Type it in the comments. Okay, I have to tell you about this story. And this story is this is one that we saw coming. And it has to do with Arbor Realty Trust. Now, I know a lot of my students got loans from Arbor. They got bridge loans from Arbor. And Arbor's business model was to get these syndicators, and they'll buy value add property, and we'll give them a bridge loan because they don't qualify for the CMBS kind of loans. They don't qualify for that. We'll give them bridge loans. And, we're going to start, we'll write them, give them 2 to 3 years to turn the properties right. And then we'll get them into CMBS notes, Fannie and Freddie loans. Okay. Sounds good on paper, but if the sponsor, if the GP doesn't know what they're doing and they don't know how to get those things, turned and increase the value, they're never going to be getting those Arbor loan, those Fannie and Freddie loans from Arbor. They're going to be losing their properties, and that's exactly what's happening now, and it's going to bring Arbor down. Been reading a research report from viceroyresearch.org. I recommend all of you check into it. And I'm going to read you some of the highlights that I've gleaned from this report. The name of the report is Arbor Realty Trust, Slumlord Millionaires. One of the numbers is that their underlying debt coverage ratio for all of their properties is 0.63. Oh, I know many of you just your head snapped back driving your car listening to that, but that's their underlying debt coverage ratio. Right now, they sold these properties or financed these properties when they're about a 4.6 on average, a 4.6 cap rate. And right now, the valuation on those properties is around a 7 cap. Oh, now, folks, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, multifamily bad investment, now it's gone from a 4.6 to a 7 cap. That's the time to buy. This is the time we come in. This time Warren Buffett comes rushing in to save the day and build up his coffers. Arbor has scrambled to insinuate that borrowers must establish interest rate caps on their loans, but documented interviews with some of the borrowers say that is not the case. Most properties, even those best performing metrics and the DSCR metrics, appear to be serially undermaintained. It is obvious that these properties have not been properly rehabilitated. This is just the basic start of the report. I'm going to read you some of the highlights, and then I'm going to start telling you about some of the properties that we're talking about. And I'm telling you right now, folks, this is going on across the board with these Nurus. Paul Moore, my buddy Paul Moore, writes great stuff on Bigger Pockets and his blog. He calls these guys Nurus. These are syndicators that had no experience. They just went to someone's boot camp and they started getting in the business. And that's exactly what we're seeing is coming home to roost right now. There isn't one. I'm going to sit here and say none of my clients have had this issue happen to them that I'm aware of. I actually received an email just before I got on this call from a student of mine who owns 4 properties, 4 complexes, and he's done well, but he's got some stories to tell. He doesn't have any he's with scars. But he just sent me over something very, very interesting. And I am actually going to have him on my podcast. He's been on my podcast in the past. And I'm going to have him on my podcast coming up just to tell me about how his 2023 worked out. One of the things that he has done, and this is one of the reasons why I want him on, is, and some of my other students, and I'm actually invested with them in a deal in Charleston. And this student of mine just got all of his property taxes waived. It's become an affordable housing property and it's not going to impact the property at all. The tenant base is essentially the same, but now he doesn't have to pay any property taxes. How cool is that? So I'm going to have him on the podcast so we can talk more about that, because I want to find out and see if I can do it on my property. That'd be nice. Yes, Hakeem, that's exactly right. Depends upon the offense. Offense against the persons, offenses against the person are the toughest ones to look the other way for. Property crimes, yeah. All right, we'll deal with that. Okay, so let me talk more about Arbor here. The Arbor loans, because of how the underlying collateral, they don't qualify for refinancing anywhere. And substantially all of them mature within the next 18 months. That's where the opportunity lies. Let's see. I love this line. There's no rate cut large enough, no rate caps cheap enough, and no investors dumb enough to save Arbor. The current underlying debt coverage ratio I told you before is 0.63. A significant portion of the properties underlying the CLOs, okay? So that's the fancy term for their collateralized loan obligations. Remember, we got CMBS, now we got CLOs. CLOs are essentially bridge loans that are going to take you into the CMBS paper. A significant portion of the properties underlying the CLOs have atrocious reviews, including pictures, and have not been rehabilitated. Some properties have already been condemned and labeled as slums. We expand on this. They tell more about it in the report. Billions of dollars of loans in the CLOs were made to finfluencers and real estate guru syndicates who have zero real estate investment backgrounds. Rudimentary news searches show many are experiencing financial distress in rising rate environments. Folks, you should go check out therealdeal.com. Do a search on syndicators or syndication, and you can see a lot of these people that you heard and have been having the weekend boot camps. A lot of their names are popping up here. I recommend that if you go into The Real Deal and you start searching these things out, when you read an article, within the article there'll be links to other articles. Click on those other links and you'll go down the rabbit hole, and that's a pretty deep rabbit hole there with The Real Deal. Let me tell you about some of these by name. All right, most of them are happening in the Sun Belt. Sunbelt multifamily real estate guru grifters. I love how they call these guys. Guru grifters have many rules and hacks for investing, and you'll have to pay them $5,000 to attend a member's seminar to learn these rules and hacks. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is not one of those rules. Many grifter gurus convince themselves and or their cult followers that the path to riches is paved with debt and multifamily residential slums in the Sun Belt. To those with short memories, only as far back as 2009, this is an easy investment sell. It's funny that what's his name, Grant Cardone, just recently came out with a quote that says this is going to be the biggest real estate. What word did he use? This is going to be the biggest real estate. Let me see. I got it written down here. Let me see. Oh, here we go. Recently, Grant Cardone said that who also said you can always overpay for multifamily property because the prices never go down. He said you can expect the greatest real estate correction of his lifetime. Wow, he's a young man, isn't he? Because we're in for a correction, but I don't think it's going to be as big as 2008, 2009. I think the issue with 2008 and 2009 is that it encompassed the single family world as well. This one isn't. The single family world right now is very stable. The problem with the single family world right now are the interest rates. The interest rates are what's keeping people and keeping the inventory very low. People have a lot of equity in their homes, so they're not going to walk away. So because of that, we're not going to see the same problems we had back in 2008 and 2009 in the real estate world. We are definitely seeing it in multifamily because we had so many, that Jobs Act brought in so many people who didn't know what the hell they were doing. And we're finding out right now. It's that old Warren Buffett saying, when the tide goes out, you find out who doesn't have any pants. And we're finding out who doesn't have any pants right now. Okay. Another thing, just as an aside, I got to thank everybody. I've achieved this new level within YouTube, where I'm moving up the content creator pile. That's very nice. Let me see what my buddy David Peters says. And David Peters, David, will you do me a favor here and type into the comments that comment that you sent to me today regarding Arbor and its valuation, because that was so interesting, especially for those of us here that consider The Big Short to be their favorite movie of all time, like me, right up there with Gone with the Wind. Yeah, that's a good one. Gone with the Wind. It's like The Big Short. The Big Short was Gone with the Wind too. Okay, write that one down. That one's got legs. Caliphate, write that one down. That's going to go in my one of my epitaphs. David here says, what is really amazing to me is the amount of money these new sponsors were able to get. Hundreds of millions of LP. That guy from Apple's Way, who lost $250 million. The guy had raised $250 million. I think that's what it was. Yeah, I agree with you, David. The numbers are amazing. Sunbelt population growth has exploded since 2008, vastly outpacing the national average. This naturally has drawn opportunity for multifamily residential unit investment/development. Sunbelt state and local taxes tend to be financially favorable to their northern counterparts. Strong job growth and wage growth has followed. Remember, South Carolina is a right-to-work state. They took Boeing away from Seattle, Washington because of that. And so many other, look at what Elon Musk did to bring Tesla to Texas. And so many companies moved down there. It was all great news. Despite this growth, Sunbelt states have remained generally more affordable than northern counterparts. And most important of all, investing in low vacancy, high yield, multifamily residential units in economically booming geographies can be achieved with close to zero loan interest rates, or at least it could. That deal has lost LPs over that deal. I think it's more than that, David. I think it's more than that. Let's see. Typically, loan syndication involves a group of lenders funding a loan to a single borrower. However, in the context of multifamily investing detailed in this report, it works the opposite way. A group of borrowers pool their resources to take out a loan from typically one lender through a property holding company. The loan sponsor is responsible for locating the deal, organizing funding, and managing the investment. Let's see. In cases below, and I'm going to talk to you about some of these cases. In cases below, the loan sponsor is usually the one soliciting the investment in the first place, whether through seminars, free dinners, and other marketing efforts. This one is very important. I think this is for those of you looking to get into this business and do it the right way. This one next paragraph is crucial to whatever business model or business plan you are using for your structure. All right. The reporting requirements for such deals are lax. When raising funds, prospective investors may receive a private placement memorandum to be filed with the SEC, and a Form D must be filed. But apart from that, there is remarkably little reporting that needs to be done. Okay, folks, I'm going to call somebody out here on this call. I've invested with this guy. He has some of my money. And I have to tell you that this guy's reporting capabilities are the best I've ever seen. He even sends me reports on properties that I'm not invested in so that I can see what's going on in his sphere. And that is Mr. First Floor Equity, David Peters, who, for those of you reading the comments, he's right there. And David says some sponsors don't even provide yearly updates. Yeah, well, think about what David Peters does. Is he sends me updates on his other properties. I'm not even in it. I read those just as voraciously as I read the properties about my own investments in, because I want to know what's going on. I want to know how he's handling things. I want to know what he sees as problems on that property that might impact my property the same way. That type of reporting is gold. And you should be doing that if you ever think about becoming a sponsor and setting up your own real estate investment fund. That's exactly how you want to do it. Let everybody know what's going on. It's the problems happen when nobody knows what's happening. I have another student of mine who's invested in another one of these gurus deal, and the first report he received in over almost 2 years was when they called him to tell him that the bank wanted more money because the bank would foreclose in 30 days. And the bank wasn't foreclosing because they missed a mortgage payment. The bank was foreclosing because the collateral had depreciated so much, and now they were gonna pull the property back from them. So that was the first time he got any notification. Didn't know anything about it, and that deal was led by a guru. So that's part of the problem here. Let's talk about some of these underlying properties with Arbor. Cap rates aside, let me see. The outlook is not good, and we do not believe that there will be sufficient collateral to cover dues in the event of defaults. And folks, this investigating organization is saying that about Arbor. If Arbor doesn't have the collateral, that means all those people who invested money, all those LPs, they are done. They have no money left. That's how bad it is for Arbor. Boy, I wonder if there are any people on this call here who were investors in any of these deals. Let me see. I think this platform allows, if anybody wants to send me a private message, I won't call you out. I will protect your confidentiality, protect your privacy. Substantially all properties, even those with the best performing DCSR metrics, appear to be serially undermaintained. It is obvious that these properties have not been properly rehabilitated. Poor security, vandalism, theft, and shootings are widely reported among properties. Owners appear to pay for and fabricate substantially all good reviews. Some good reviews appear to be from prospective tenants and form part of the lease application process. Management appears to be raising rents of properties without any actual rehabilitation. We picked, let me see, the Caden at East Mill. Anybody knows this one's in Orlando, has a 1-star review on Yelp, 2.4 stars on Google. Within the last month, all reviews have been 1 star. Among allegations is that the tenants have never had an inspection in the last 5 years. Okay, let me tell you. The very first property I ever purchased, after 3 years of owning it, I thought to myself, holy cow, I think I should go look at every unit. It's been 3 years. And I went out there and I looked at every single unit, did it like I was performing my own due diligence on the property. You got to do that. It's your property. Nobody else is going to do it. Management changes with the season. The complex is frequently broken into. There are rat and roach infestations. Maintenance has not been available. Pictures of Renovated units show renovations are purely superficial and have not addressed underlying property problems. The appraised property value is at an implied cap rate of 4.36, which is about 30 basis points below the current year T-bill. This loan was made in October of 2021. It is blindingly obvious that little or no work has been completed to date. Oh my man, I mean, just you don't want to own these types of properties where you look at these one-star Yelp reviews. I'm not going to read it; it's too depressing. Lantana Apartments, and this one's in Las Vegas. I think I've heard of this one. I think I might have helped a student try to quote on this one. Has an appraised value of $110 million, 1.4 star average on Yelp. 3 units in this complex have gone up in flames within the last year due to faulty wiring, with many other tenants complaining of fire damage within the walls. There is no security or maintenance to attend to issues. Oh, this is gross. A man was dead for 5 weeks and they just found the body. Ugh. The renovation year of the apartments is listed as 2022. However, it is abundantly clear from reviews that they have not taken place. There appear to be some renovations occurring now. However, it also appears that vacancies on renovated apartments are high due to mass availability on Lantana's website. The implied cap rate, 4.5, which is 10 bips below the T-bond rate. And the loan was originated in 2021. And the Yelp review shows a picture of the place going up in flames. And it's a real picture. Let me see. Sterling Point in Sacramento. Do we know? Let me see. The implied cap rate of this property is an unbelievable 1.62%. It's about 400 bips below the current risk-free T-bond rate. Let me see. Okay. Now get a load of the. Let me just tell you how this property, Sterling Point, got its loans. All right. Now this is really when this type of these types of shenanigans is what brought down the Big Short many years ago. The loan originated in 2021. The investors, Ridge Capital Investors, paid only $33 million for the property in 2019. Less than 2 years before, a $43 million loan was extended against a $63 million collateral. This is absolutely abhorrent lending behavior and was somehow approved by a committee consisting only of the CEO, CCO, and EVP of the loan, the lender, Arbor. Okay, so man, that's the type of thing you wonder if there's any type of bank fraud going on. Yeah, they bought it for $132,000 a door. Person stayed here for 6 months and moved immediately. Too overpriced. Gate never worked. Place wasn't even ready when we moved in, and we had maintenance in and out, fixing things daily for the first 2 months. Stephen was rude and does not know how to communicate professionally. Mold and holes in all the walls. Ugh. So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you where you can get this. If any of you want to read about this stuff, because then it gets into who the actual buyers were, and some of these people you know the names. Nitya Capital, that is Swapnil Agarwal. I just learned his name from Ashley Wilson the other day. Ashley Wilson is a big syndicator. She does a great job. She's a student of mine, and I'm proud to say she does an absolutely amazing job, and she's a total straight shooter. I asked her tough questions. She told me, the type of stuff that she's having to deal with down in Houston. But man, she's a very smart woman, and she knew all about this Swapnil guy and saw his problems coming 1,000 miles away. Let me see. So he's Nitya Capital. Let me see if I can. And of course we've got Apple's Way. me see. Yeah, all these guys got in because of that it just amazes me how many of these problems are created by government regulation. Like that Jobs Act, once they made it easy for anybody to get in there and start borrowing money from their grandmother, everybody started doing it, and that's where all these problems come in. Nobody knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to happen. Turnaround opportunities are some of the best investment opportunities as long as the neighborhood is not a D neighborhood. Right. Thank you, David. I could not agree with you more. This is where back in 2009, this is where millions and when millions were made in this business. Right now, it's happening again. Let me see. Tides Equity. That's another one. That's the one for Lantana Apartments. That's Tides Equity. They landed in hot water back in 2023 when it announced the possibility of a capital raise from its equity partners. The next day, its largest investor, AMC Investments, raised the possibility of its own capital raise to cover Tide's contractor payments. The funds supposedly earmarked for these payments were instead used to cover its debt repayments. And that's what happens when you get people that don't understand how to manage these properties, and they go out and they raise the funds, and they grossly underproject the cost of the renovations. That's what happens. I got to tell you, I got my buddy Dave Peters here. We are looking to acquire a hotel and convert it to a multifamily property. And we're going through when we have the renovation budgets, we've got them hard and fast, and we're going to go out and raise that money plus some, because we always know that the renovations run more than we think it's going to cost. So and obviously these folks did not do that, and they ended up having to use that money to pay their debts because they didn't know how to run a property. Key City Capital, Dallas Fort Worth. That's another one. They have a bunch of properties here that are. Oh, there's one in here that I really want you to read. Oh, here. Well, this one, yeah. There's, I hear the new terms. I've learned nurus, which are new gurus, but also they come up with this new one called real estate finfluencers. And this woman is a former computer engineer who markets herself through her Eliza Zhang Financial Independence University. Somehow this qualified her for a $72 million loan for 2 properties from Arbor in 2021 and 2021, third quarter and fourth quarter. These properties were owned together with Lava Tube Capital, a husband and wife team touting high growth, low risk returns, and Lane Kawoka, a real estate podcaster. Let me see. There's one in here that I have to tell you about. Oh my gosh, look at this poor guy. Cyclone Investments. Cyclone made the news in New Jersey in August 23 when residents were forced to vacate due to a condemnation notice from the city. A total of 430 violations were announced relating to that Plainfield apartment block, and local news cited various previous incidences of residents being forced out due to unlivable conditions. And Arbor's lending money to this. Unbelievable. Oh, there was one that I had to find. I apologize. Let me see if I can find it. It is. It was one where there was a shooting, leaving one guy dead in a car. Yeah, it. I can't. I'm not going to put my hands on it, but it was a very sad story. Yeah, folks. Let me give you the takeaways. All right, the biggest takeaway is that this is an opportunity, but you have to know how to find it, because a lot of these deals, if they're Arbor's going to go in there and yank them back, and then sell them to other guys who can just write a check to buy them. If you're not prepared, I mean, take a look. Well, just because I know numbers, Robert Martinez's deal was a $55 million portfolio that just was taken back and sold for pennies on the dollar. If you're a new investor, if you're looking to just get started, those types of offers are not going to be available to you unless you're going out there to start a fund and you start pooling money now with friends and family and other deep pockets. Then you might have a chance of walking out there and doing some of these deals. What you really want to be doing right now is reaching out to the local banks and local lenders and finding out who the person is in that organization who handles the distressed assets and loan workout departments, and start talking to them on a regular basis. Remember, this is a relationship business, and you got to start building the relationships. Those are the places where you're going to be able to find deals, and you won't have to worry about these big, huge funds walking in there and buying them out from underneath you. So that is definitely the way to handle these types of opportunities. But I'm telling you, it's an opportunity. Back in 2008, I lost a property to a local lender, and I bought it for $7 million, and they let it go to another investor for $2 million. So just remember that those opportunities are out there. You can make them happen, and that my property would have worked too. So just keep that in mind as you're going throughout your day. How can you set up systems in your business to find those people and contact them on a regular basis? That's what we're doing with our what we are now calling the MAPS system for working with our VAs. And if Molly is here, she can tell you exactly what MAPS stands for. It's an amazing. I don't even know. Marketing Assessment something system. Market Analysis Planning System. That's it. We're going to get you the market that you work in, and then we're going to swamp you, and we're going to figure out all the opportunities in that area, and we're going to start systematically going after them and finding them to get you that first deal. And that's what the MAP system is all about. So thank you, Molly. All right, guys, that is it. I went a little long today. I get these updates all the time. Let me give you some, obviously, I told you it's therealdeal.com. And the other one that you definitely want to check into, they come up with new reports, I think, every week. It's called viceroyresearch.org, O-R-G, viceroyresearch.org, and really good stuff. But don't, remember, we are investors. We don't buy things at retail. All these people who were doing the deals in 2019, 2020 to 2022, those people were learning the business, and they're going to find out some very tough mistakes. They're right now, wondering how they get out of these deals unscathed. I have students of mine contacting me from past deals that they did long before they knew me, that are asking me, how do I get out of these deals? So, and if any of you are in that situation and you want to understand the process or know how things work, shoot us an email here. I will be more than happy to talk to you and kind of let you know what the process is, and if there's any hope for salvation for your investment. I mean, I've done it. I've worked with other investors on trying to help them solve their problems. But that's really, it's a tough story if you're in it right now. But for those of you that want to live to see another day, now's the time to get out there and find those deals, because they're going to be, and over the next 18 months, one of the things that I didn't mention that was mentioned in this article, over the next 18 months, I think it's like $18 billion is going to renew of these bridge loans. 18 or 80, I apologize, I can't remember. It's a huge number. But over the next 18 months is the window of opportunity to start getting your ducks in a row and start building your business so that you can step in and take these properties over. So, all right, everybody, Great. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for getting me moving up the food chain at YouTube. I don't know what it means. Molly has to explain everything to me, but I'm glad that that it works, and it's going to keep growing this platform, so I can get this message out. I want to see everybody that wants to be in this business. I want to help you out in every way I possibly can, and I do not want to see you make the same mistakes I made many years ago. And there's no reason why you need to. So, all right, everybody, great to see you all. And for those of you in my hotel to apartment conference cohort, I will see you in 13 minutes. See you all.